How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the studio. Welcome to Track Go Sim Racing. I'm proud to present my first tutorial slash guide video, and I chose my good personal favorite of mine, the Simhub Control Mapper. I really hope you guys enjoy and find it useful. Please leave a like, subscribe, share, and click that bell notification so you get notified on these. And I will also have a separate playlist set up for these in the future. Thank you so much and enjoy. All right, guys, welcome to my rig. Today we're going to talk about Control Mapper and Simhub. If you don't know, just a quick description. Control Mapper is a very excellent free tool. It's included in the latest Simhub versions. I think it's been out for a good year or more. But I wanted to give my take here and share my guide on what it is that I do with this wheel and how it can turn your wheel into a powerhouse, in my opinion. So without further ado, let's get right into it. This is going to be a long one, so strap in. And I'll try to go as slowly as I can here. So I'm going to open up my Simhub. This is my Simhub. Right now we're on version 9.9.11. And I highly recommend getting a license and supporting the community. I think it's a one-time payment of $10 for a lifetime license. So here on the main menu, you're going to see that I already have it here, Control Mapper. But once you install the latest version of Simhub, or if you're just installing Simhub for the first time, and you want to click on this, add and remove on the bottom corner over here. And you want to look for it on this list. And you'll see it here. And you want to enable it if it's not enabled already. And you want to show it in your left menu so you can get to it quickly. So right now there's two methods of, using this control mapper. There's the VJoy method and there's the bridge method. The VJoy method is by far the cheapest one because it's a piece of software that you install on the computer and it'll act like a virtual, it technically, the name says it all, VJoy, right? Virtual joystick. And then you have bridge mode. So bridge mode will use an Arduino, and you'll see it right here on the screen. Let me zoom in for that. Let me zoom in there. At Mega 32 U4 Arduino, and it says that mine's connected. And we're on version 1.3, which it's been the latest one that way for quite a while. I'm using COM4 to, that's what my computer, that's where it's connected. And I'm using a single controller because with a single controller, I can have up to 128 buttons. And this is for 128 buttons for the actual game itself. You can have more buttons that control Simhub, but more on that later. I haven't had the need for a triple controller, but if you want to do it, by all means. If you're going to go the bridge route, I'll show you where you can find one of these chips. I'll recommend one. No affiliates, no nothing. You can also find these on Amazon. You got to make sure that nothing else is connected to this computer when you try and flash the firmware to it, because you don't want to accidentally kill off one of your Arduinos. So these are my buttons that I have programmed for the past, I don't know, year and a half or 2 years almost. So it's 119 mappings that I have right now. And then I have Simhub actions down here that control things like the system volume, actual wheel controls to control the screens on the wheel, or my DDU, which is here, which you can't see, but I promise it's there, or even your clutch and your throttle and handbrakes. Here they are. They're registering right now. So what's the point of this? This becomes a godsend when you have more than one steering wheel or more than one shifter. And instead of going in and programming, the devices every single time you jump into let's say you jump into iRacing and you want to drive a NASCAR and you want to use your sequential shifter. Now you have to set up iRacing to have the sequential shifter for that particular car, and so on and so forth. But I will be demonstrating here how this works. These are my devices that I have connected at the moment. This is my Asher Artura Ultimate, and I'll give you a full preview of the wheel itself. It's here, and I have all these mappings, right? These mappings are direct mappings to my list. So here's how it works. Whenever I want to create a mapping, I first have to create it in here. So for example, I'll just use shift up and shift down. If I want shift up and shift down mappings to be here, right? If I shift up, see it go red. And if I shift down, it goes red again. It's registering it. However, if I was to shift on another wheel and it was mapped to the same master mapping is what I'm going to call it, the output mapping, then whenever I set the button up in the game to register as, hey, this is shift up, then it will register on the wheel on all my different peripherals, if that makes sense. So if I go into map controller on the Artura, so this is a schematic specifically for the Artura, pulling that master list that I just showed you. And now here, shift up is mapped to button 30. Shift down is mapped to button 29 because that is the buttons that are registered on the wheel. Meaning, for the wheel itself, the way Simhub reads this button right here, my upshift is button 30. Then you have all kinds of options, right? You can have transformations. You can have short presses, long presses. You can make them a latching switch, meaning if you want to press a button and keep it pressed, you can do that, and so on and so forth. As you can see here, I just want to give you an example of my engine, right, and ignition. So I'm going to go full screen and show you this. As you can see, we're limited on the amount of buttons that we have on each particular wheel. However, we can double those, or even in some cases, quadruple them. So for example, for my ignition and start engine, I have it mapped to this single button right here. And I have it mapped in a way that when I press this button once, it'll trigger the ignition. And if I press and hold it, then it'll trigger the start engine button. Now let me demonstrate this in full screen here. So again, as I just said, this is the ignition, right? Look what happens when I press it. Because I have it mapped here for a short press. And then I have the same button, which is button 26, which is this power button, to start engine. And then I have the modifier set to hold to press, and I want it delayed. Why do I want it delayed? I want it delayed so that way there's a threshold, there's a difference, right? If I just press this button and there was no delay, it would trigger both actions and it wouldn't work. But now I have a 200 millisecond delay, which it doesn't really take that long to just press a button real quickly. Now, let me exit the wheel kind of mapping here for my ultimate and give you a better demonstration of this. So if we go over to ignition, you see how, let me zoom in there. Let me zoom in here. See how if I press it, it's glowing red, like a dark red, and this one is glowing like a light red. But if I press and hold it, it engages the next mapping. You see? So I can have my ignition, and the ignition's on, and press and hold and start engine, and it goes. So that's kind of a quick example of the amount of options that you can do with basically any steering wheel that's connected directly in USB and is compatible and SimHub compatible, which is a good 90% of the wheels out there um, that have this option to connect it to to SimHub. Another example here is let me see. I mean, what else can I show you? Oh, this is a good one. So as you guys know, I'm a streamer and I'm always chatting in a Discord. But look what happens here. I only have one microphone button. So what do I do? Um, what I came up with basically is your this is all your imagination. You have to be creative here. I made this button a single press, and that triggers crew chief, as you can see here on number button 8. Right? That's crew chief, a single press. If I press and hold it, that is push to talk. So any game that I set up as push to talk is going to trigger that action on this wheel. Does not matter. Um, because my mic is always open on Discord, and it's always open to you as well on OBS and the chat. So I'm able to control basically iRacing chat in this case. Um, I can talk to my spotter, which is crew chief. I can talk to you all, and I can also talk to the Discord. Now I have other buttons to mute, toggle Discord mute with a long press. Same example. Same thing here with the headlights. If I want headlights to turn on, but if I want to flash them, I press and hold. And that's just kind of the setup here that I was going for with this wheel. Now, there's another reason why I chose the Artura is because I have two multi-positional switches. And when you have those, it opens up the floodgates to basically a way more options. So try not to pay attention to the labels here that I ordered. Um, these are from Lovely Sim Racing, which are really well done stickers. If you have this wheel, highly recommend. Shout out to Constantinos. Um, Now let me give you a good example here. On the wheels, I don't want to show you the wheels. What do you call this software? Because it's very particular. But on your particular software, right? If you have multi-positional switches, it's going to tell you which button is the plus and minus for each of these encoders, right? So I chose button, for example, 4 and 6. This is an example. So what happens is when I move this dial to the 12 o'clock position, let me go out to all the cameras and see and open up the wheel schematic so you can see. Let's go, and a good way to find a button is just press and hold it and scroll down the list and you'll see it light up green. There it is. So these two buttons are now 127 and 128. And if I switch it to this dial the next dial, which is dial 1, now those buttons become, okay, I gotta find it now. It's a little 105 and 106. And these two I use to change my DDU. These two I have for weather and cameras, I think. Damage and weather. And then this is my MFM, which controls the DDU MFMs on Danny Newman's dashboards, which I'll have to cover. Definitely. I'm excited to cover that in the future video. But that's an example of I have 12 positions plus 12 positions, which is 24 times 2. These guys alone give me 48 mappings. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing on this side. 12 o'clock position, I have the plus and minus to control this dial. And this is my enter, mid, and exit. This is predominantly for formula. Let me just do a demo here for formula. I know the angle is a little weird, but this is There you can see position 1 is my bias. So increase, decrease. TC, increase, decrease, and so on and so forth. TC2, ABS. These guys down here in the green, this is for your hybrids. Same thing with F, front and rear ARB. And it's kind of cool because you can have the dial here set. Now, what makes this special with Daniel Newman software, Daniel Newman Racing's new software, and also Lovely's, we're going to showcase Daniel because I'm a huge fan, supporter. And there's our logo here, the Chicane Podcast down there. So shout out to Danny for hooking us up there. If we go over to the dashboard, right, his latest dashboard is the endurance dashboard. And again, this video is not showcasing his setup, not even the dashboard, I'm sorry. Let me go to the wheel. So this is my Artura wheel. And now things get a lot more complicated with effects. But again, this is a video for another day. What I really want to show you is this down here. So these labels will talk to his dashboard, and they're in accordance with my mappings here. So how do you get this, right? In a nutshell, I'm pretty sure you guys have 100 questions. It's a little complicated. I'll go through it one more time. When you first start doing this, the first thing you want to do is set up, you got to decide, it's either VJoy or Bridge. I highly recommend Bridge, but if you don't have the spare funds or you simply just want to try it out real quick, VJoy. So you set up your VJoy, and I have a link here that can show you guys the Simhub guide for VJoy, which is right down here. He's going to give you links on where to download it, how to configure it, and how to set it up in Simhub. So I'll leave the link in the description for this. But if you wanted to get the Bridge option, then I highly recommend this tiny Beetle board. It's an Atmega 32, and it's only like $9. Okay, so again, you'll need to buy a little case for it, but it's like the size of a quarter. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's the measurements. It's tiny. It'll disappear back there. And DF Robot, I'm not unaffiliated. I know they make quality stuff, and if you're gonna buy something and you're gonna rely on it to handle all your controls, in my personal opinion, I would spend a little more and get a nice board. Okay, this is absolutely overkill for what we're doing. If you look at this board and you see all the things it could do, but easy enough, right? So now that once you have that connection established and you set it up, now you have to make your own output mappings. And start with the basics: shift up, shift down, brake balance, ABS. I have all the gears for my 8 shifter here. Let me zoom in so you can see this. And again, guys, bear with me. This is my first guide, and I plan on releasing a plethora of these to get you guys going. Share the goodness of sim racing with everybody. So yeah, these are all my mappings. And again, it didn't start out that way. It honestly, I made the basics, and then I just started adding as I went on. And then you have a different, well, you know what? Let me show you guys how to do this. It's very easy. Let's say I wanted to add a button for somebody help me and no one's here. Let's say I didn't have a shift up button, right? Or whatever. All I got to do is put shift up and then add a plus because I don't want it to mess up my, actually I typoed it, so it's okay. Shift up. Now the shift up button exists, right? How do I map it to this wheel? Which I'm about to mess up my wheel, which is fine. I do this for the love. So this is shift down right now. We're gonna go ahead and erase that and find the new button that we just made, which should be close to the bottom because it's new, right before the other category of buttons, right? If I can find this. Here it is. Shift up, shift down, or shift up. Even though I'm mapping it to shift down, but you guys get the drill. You know what? Let me do it right. Let me do it right. Let me do it right before you guys grill me in the comment section here. I don't need them problems. So shift up. I just made this button. What button would you like to press? This one. And that's it. If I press OK, now if we scroll down and we see the button here, and if I shift up on my wheel, it should go red. And there it is. It's going red. It's going red. It's going red. Now that we've covered how to do this, and I'll have to fix this later, but it's all good. Then the next thing you'd want to program is a button here to toggle an overlay so that it's easy to set the buttons in the sim. And in this case, if you're using Control Mapper, and if you have a Stream Deck, you can install the Stream Deck plugin, and you can add any of these buttons onto a Stream Deck. So you could do it that way. Change the icon, make it look nice. But I have a button here that actually triggers toggle overlay, and I'm gonna do that here live. It's on my Stream Deck. If I can find it, it's here somewhere. Yeah, this is what happens when you have a lot of buttons, right? Okay. So you know what? Let's get out of our comfort zone. Let's clear this. Let's say I want the toggle to be A on the keyboard. Or excuse me, bad example. Well, this is a fail. Damn, I thought I had that mapped. It's here. It's just I don't know where it is. But anyway, let's say I wanted it to be this light button, right? And it's already reading it as headlights because it knows already. So now my headlight button, which is this button, is going to bring up an overlay. So just pretend that you're in the sim. This is how you will program your wheels or devices into the sim. Instead of you trying to find the buttons on the wheel, you'll literally go through this list and literally just click on the button. As you can see, the button we just made will show up here, the misspelled shift up. And look, it works. But instead of me literally pressing this button, all I have to do is click on the sim when you're mapping and press this button. You can also, this guy's a genius, man. Shout out to Nicola. I closed on my entire Simhub. Bear with me. You can also, oh my God, it's okay. You can also back all these these up. You can have mappings per device. You can even map your pedals as as an axis. So if you wanted your clutch to be something different, you could do it here and it'll always be that way. But you can also open the assistant on your phone and it'll give you this address QR code and you'll scan that. And that's how I did it for a while because this toggle overlay control wasn't always here. And he added it and he made it awesome, even better. Nicola, again, shout out to you. That way you can map the mappings using your phone, which this list will pop up. So again, guys, it's very simple. Choose your connection, right? Get it set up. If you go bridge, you have to flash the firmware. Make your list. This is going to be the longest part of the process. And you'll only need to do this one time. And then choose your wheels, peripherals, devices. You can see I have a SimLab brake that's just mapped to handbrake, right? That way I can use I have two handbrakes. That way I can use anything that's mapped to a handbrake, if that makes sense. And that's pretty much it. You'll add your devices, you'll click on add roles. Where is it? You'll map controllers, excuse me. Map controller, and that's it. That's basically it. You can also do system controls and game volume, which is in the settings, right? And I have a race logic. I have another one is toggle TDM. So this is the button that I have for toggle TDM. And if I'm in the sim and it's dark, I'll press this button one time and the entire, like, my ambient lights, all my dashboards, they will go dark, in a dark mode. I think DNR and Lovely have a dark mode setting. I think it's here. And you can see right there that that's my shortcut for it, toggle TDM. Well, I mean, I was trying to make this guide. A lot of people asking me, the people that are close to me asking me, how the hell do you have 119 mappings? And this is why, because it's a powerhouse. I can use my wheel to control all my stream, the lights in my studio, control the actual lights on the rig. I can control my wind sim with Control Mapper. All the wonderful things you can do here. And I think it's great because I think it's important because a lot of people might look at this and say, well, why do you need so many damn buttons? The thing is that, to me, I would rather not use a keyboard ever if I could. But if I'm driving on the track, at least I have everything here. And everything is, my hands are on the wheel. I don't have to physically take my hands off to touch an external button. I will do that at all costs. I would avoid that at all costs, so that way you always have control of the car. You're always your eyes are here, you know what I'm saying? And it's good, man. Like, it's a tool I just can't live without. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of wheels on the market now that are coming out with, this these multi-positional switches, because they're starting to realize this. And it's just a great tool. I'm not saying that you need a McLaren wheel to do this, or that you need to spend upwards of $1,000 or whatever. You just need to find a wheel that has this option for multi-positional switches, and there's plenty of options out there. Again, guys, this is first for me and for the series. For Simhub, obviously simhub.com. I think I left that out, but you can grab Simhub, just Google it, or I'll leave all the links to get Simhub. And yeah, you can get a license for as little as €8, and it's a one-time thing. So highly recommended. The man, we're like spoiled with updates. Like, I can't wait to see what 10.0 is, but as you can see, there's all kinds of support for this thing, and I'm really excited for the future of it. All right, guys, let's do an actual demonstration in the sim. I wanted to use ACC, but reading this message here says the mappings this overlay that we're using that I showed earlier, this one, sometimes it can act weird depending on the sim, and if it's, if you lose your mouse or the mouse unclicks itself or whatever, then it's telling you to use the phone assistant, which was the old way and still works really well. Just make sure you're on the same Wi-Fi. You click on that button here. Let me show that. You open the mapping assistant on your phone, and you can either type it in or scan this QR code, but make sure your phone is connected to the same Wi-Fi or network that's on your PC. Okay. So I have I have iRacing up, and I'm just going to show you, and I actually found my button from earlier. It was right here. I'll trigger the button, and now I have this overlay, which is the same master list. And if I wanted to map the ignition, I'll just use this as a quick example. This is what it'll look like. It says device 1, button 16, which it may or may not always make sense, because remember, the ignition button was used twice. So all you got to do is click on the button and click on the ignition here. And there it is. Now for start engine, you click on start engine. And when I press it on my wheel, you can see them going off and triggering. And sometimes it'll also it'll blink here. You see it blinking here in iRacing, letting you know that it's working. And that's about it. I just wanted to follow up here and, you know, make sure that you guys see it in action here. But anyways, appreciate it, and thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.